Hi, thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Between Bells, Camden Catholic's podcast that explores the people that make up our school community and what they're truly like between one day's dismissal bell and the next day's homeroom bell. I'm your host, Trish, and I'm happy to say welcome to this week's episode. This week, we have Mrs. Bianchini here with us on the podcast. Mrs. Bianchini is the Associate Director of Alumni Relations, a 2015 graduate, and a member of a legacy family. She plans events for our alumni network, as well as for Camden Catholic's current students to network with the CCHS alumni community. She also assists in the admissions and development office, as well as with the ad and patron drive for the spring musical. Mrs. Bianchini's life sure does involve a whole lot of Camden Catholic, so what must she be like between bells? Hi, Mrs. Bianchini.
Hey, Trish.
It's glad to have you on again because I'm just going to let the viewers know this is a re-record. We did do an episode. When was it? It feels like forever ago.
It was. I think it was like over 2 months ago.
Yeah, and then it was my bad. I messed up some of the files, but that just gives me another excuse to talk to Miss Bianchini. So let's start off the episode properly. Please give us your full name, first and last, your room location, and how many years you've been here at CCHS.
Okay, so hi, everyone. I am Kayleigh Bianchini. I work in Office 224A. It is Mr. Sexton and Mrs. Biggs' office, and technically mine, but everyone knows it as theirs. Mm-hmm. I started working at Camden Catholic in January of 2022. However, I am an alum. I graduated in 2015, and I've been walking these hallways since I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, I do remember that from our last conversation. That shocked me. So actually, if I remember correctly, it's like I'm kind of like quizzing myself on how much I remember from our last conversation because there was a lot of good things that we covered, so I want to try and hit them again. That's because you did theater here when you were that age.
No, so my brother went here when I was that age, but I did do theater in like my upper elementary, middle school years here.
Because they have like the what do you call it? Why don't you explain it? Because I know you did explain it, and you explained it pretty well. I think I'll get it wrong if I try to explain it.
So I have a lot of family that have gone to Camden Catholic. So I started walking these hallways when I was a very little girl because my brother went here and my sister. And so when my sister was a senior? Junior or senior here, they had an open call for the musical Oliver. And I saw my first Camden Catholic show actually when I was in kindergarten. It was Les Mis. And actually,
it's always Les Mis.
It's always Les Mis. You should just always know that. One day more. It's always Les Mis. However, Les Mis is like not the best show to bring a kindergartner to because it translates to The Miserables. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, almost everyone dies.
There's a lot of death.
A lot of death.
Short between bells break. In the hit Broadway musical Les Misérables, or otherwise known as Les Mis, there's mixed opinions on exactly how many people die. It certainly is a lot since it's based off the French Revolution. According to Answers.com, one user suggests that the death count is around 30 in the show. Out of the main characters, at least 6 of them die. Only 2 of the main characters remain standing at the end. But when you have to account for the death count, you have to count all the revolutionaries who are mentioned to die and also French soldiers that are mentioned to have been killed. So in the show itself, probably around 30. That's still a lot of death, but it is about the French Revolution. So yeah, kind of a bold decision to bring a kindergartner to that show, but hey, it all worked out in the end, didn't it? Now back to the show.
My mom wanted to take me. My brother built the set. Camden Catholic was the first or second high school to start to do this as a high school production. Mm-hmm. And I had just started taking singing lessons, and she gave me this big pep talk in my car seat. She was like,
in your car seat? That's how tiny you were.
In my car seat. She said, if you get scared at all, we can leave right away. It's really okay, but your brother built this. Someone from your school's in it. I think you'll really like it. Mm-hmm. And I went. And I was hooked. I was on the edge of my seat the whole night. And this was actually the production that Miss Leone played Fantine. Miss Leone's our current director. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a full circle moment. And I was obsessed. And from that moment on, it was okay, I am going to do the musicals at Camden Catholic High School. So fast forward, 5th grade, my sister's here. They need little kids for Oliver. And so I was just like generic orphan number 44. And I just loved it. And so I did the musicals at Camden Catholic from 5th grade all the way through 8th grade, and then my freshman through senior year, which means I did them for 8 years consecutively. Consecutively. So to my knowledge, I am the only person in Camden Catholic history who has done 8 years consecutively of Camden Catholic musicals.
Nice. And you were in the musical review for the 100-year celebration.
I was.
I do remember that because you were with... Well, no, you weren't in the same scene as Mr. Hoover. I just know that I saw both of you there.
We were in one number together, but I did do the shows with Mr. Hoover.
Oh, wait, you were in shows with him?
While he was a student. So Mr. Hoover and Mr. Gardner actually are, we never overlapped as students at Camden Catholic. But when I was in middle school, they were students at Camden Catholic, and I did the shows with them.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, my gosh.
So I did Music Man with Mr. Gardner and Mr. Hoover. And then with Mr. Hoover, I think he was in Oliver. We did Music Man together. And then we also did Grease and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
He did mention that in his episode. I remember that.
He's so funny.
Yeah, he was like the comic relief character.
Yes,
or something,
and he's a good singer.
He is.
And he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And then... Now that I think about it, the main one I remember you doing in the 100-year review was you were in the Les Mis section.
I was.
Because...
So this is so funny. God works in mysterious ways. He's got a plan. And so, like, the craziest part was my senior show was Les Mis here at Camden Catholic. And it was the second time we've ever done it in school's history. And it was just, like, it was wild. Like, when Mrs. Whipke and Mrs. Creasy announced what the show was going to be, they called us down during activity period. And, like, I like to think I was, like, a very good, respectful student, and they announced it, and I stood out of my seat and screamed at the top of my lungs. And I don't even know if they remember this, but I won't forget their faces because they were like, who is this person? We've never seen her.
What is she doing?
Yes, and I was just like so overjoyed, but it was just like one of the most like satisfying full circle.
So poetic.
Yes.
So poetic. God works in mysterious ways.
You got that right. He's got a plan. But the funniest part about it was like, funny now, not funny then, was I did not get the part I wanted. I was mad, I was upset, I cried, but I ended up playing Madame Thénardier, and spoiler, she lives, she makes it, she doesn't die, in the musical. In the book, she does. But anyway, I really hated this character, and then I like fell in love with it, and it was so much fun. And so it was pretty cool. My first year working back at Camden Catholic, and I got to really help Mrs. Whipke with planning the 100 years of musicals. I got to also do and write a lot of the history for that.
Yeah, that's true, because we had like the little history sections in there.
Yeah, we published a book, essentially. But it was like so rewarding and so satisfying, and 100% one of the projects that I think I'm like most proud of that I've worked on while I was here.
It was an impressive playbill. It was definitely big.
Yeah, it was really cool to write that history and to like share that beside Mrs. Whipke. With her retiring now, like I'm super thankful that we did that together. It was like so cool because she's an amazing writer. She's so good at everything, and she's so passionate about Camden Catholic's history. And so she really shaped what she wanted that to be. So being able to be beside her and do that was so cool.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. You had a little story about her.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind telling it? Because I loved hearing this story when we last talked.
So Mrs. Whipke has always been like my mentor when I was a student here. Like we all have like that teacher and whatnot we click with. And I definitely have favorite teachers. Shout out to Brooke and Young Crawford. But Mrs. Whipke is like my mentor. And at times she's really been like a mom to me too, I feel like. So when I was in high school here, she wasn't the president yet. She was admissions, development. She became the interim president the end of my sophomore year, president junior, senior year. And so we stayed really close, and she taught green and white. It was a class. You had it.
Oh, it was a class? You did not mention that last time.
Yes, it was a class. Not like a class in terms of like what you guys think like it was. It was on our schedule, but we did it during like the mornings. We had activity period every day. It was certain days a week. You got a grade for it. It was hands down one of the best experiences, and has made me the employee, the businesswoman that I am today. I say all the time, goes back to Mary Whipke and green and white. So I was set to go to school for public relations, communications. I was in Brooke's communications class. I had done internships, all set. God works in mysterious ways. I decided to change my major in January of my senior year here at Camden Catholic. And I was like, I'm going to be a music teacher. And everyone, my mother, my father, Mrs. Whipke were like, huh? And everyone was really supportive. This is your dream. Go do it. And Mrs. Whipke was like, you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, you can do anything you put your mind to, but I really think maybe you should be in like PR and marketing. And I was like, okay. And she's right. And here I am.
Look where you ended up.
And my biggest piece of advice is if Mrs. Whipke gives you advice, take it the first time. Take it the first time. But I went to school for music education. And again, everything happens for a reason. I met my husband. He's a music teacher. And so we went to college together. So totally meant to be. But after I graduated, I taught for about 2.5 years. And it just, we're coming out of the pandemic. And I was like, I am not happy. This is not where I need to be. And like, I had always kept in touch with Mrs. Whipke, and like the first person I felt like comfortable reaching out to, it was like just so crazy. I was laying on my couch and I just like wrote her this reflection in this email of like, this is not my corner of the world. This is not where God wants me to be. Like, would you be able to like go out to eat, go out to lunch? And I was really hoping that maybe she'd have some words of wisdom or like an internship that she could set me up with, or like an alum that I could like get some advice from. And we went out to eat, and she was like, so, there's actually a job opening at Camden Catholic. When are you looking to leave teaching? Ooh. And I was like, tomorrow. She was like, great. So it ended up working out, and here I am. And I like to say I'm back home now.
Oh, that's sweet. No, that's such a great story, because I think that's really important. I think a lot of people are like afraid of saying something, because you said that like for all the way up into your senior year, you were expecting to go into business, was it? Or
public
communications?
Relations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you wanted to change it. I think a lot of people are afraid to take that step in fear of, that it might not be right, like you said. But I think it's a good way of looking at it, where it's just you try it and you'll just know. Like you'll feel that tug. And I think it's completely fine to like change it, I think.
Everything teaches you something. I was really blessed that my first week here at Camden Catholic, our religion teacher taught us this Bible verse, and it's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, oracle of the Lord, plans to give you a future and a hope. It's not like verbatim, but that's pretty much what it is. Paraphrase. Yeah. And that Bible verse has stuck with me. It hung in my college dorm room. There's a sticker of it on my personal laptop. And it is like what gets me through, because truly, like, God does have a plan for us, but we as human beings, sometimes we deviate. And I think a lot of times when we have you read Robert Frost's the poem about two paths diverged in the woods?
Yeah,
okay.
We read that in Mr. Keogh's class freshman year.
Great.
Who knew that would come back? Wow.
It's super relevant, and I hope all of Camden Catholic, I hope you read that. It's really important. And I think sometimes we're faced, especially, I don't envy you guys, being 17, 18 years old, and you're like, I have to make this really big decision, and what if I mess up? Newsflash, I did mess up. I picked the wrong thing. But I felt so much like this is one path here, there's one path here, and if I pick this one, I'm good, and if I pick this one, I'm bad. And so for so long, I lived with this, like, I picked the wrong path, the bad path, I'll never get back. But I think, like, God kind of builds, like, these smaller paths that connect the two, and there's always a chance to get back on track. And I think as long as you stay close to Him and to your faith and to good people in your life that will tell you yes and will tell you no.
Like Mrs. Whipke.
Yes, and Mr. Bruckner. Mr. Bruckner was actually someone who I sat down with who said, maybe this is the right thing, but also maybe it's not. And I think sometimes we get advice, be like, go do that thing, do that thing, do it. And it's like, ladies and gentlemen, you can do anything you put your mind to, but you shouldn't always.
Yeah.
Just because you can do anything doesn't mean you should.
You never ask if you should, yeah.
So that was some really important advice, and I was really blessed with really good mentors along the way. And I think really, if you guys take that poem to heart, yes, sometimes it feels like there's only a right path and a wrong path, but I think that God really makes sure that we're never in the woods alone by ourselves.
True. That's a very good way to put it. Man, I never really thought that poem would have come back. It was like such a one-off thing in Mr. Keogh's class. Wow. Short between bells break. If you're not familiar with the Robert Frost poem that Miss Bianchini is referring to here, it's called The Road Not Taken, and I'm about to read it to you right now. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and saw I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So yeah, that's my little reading. It took so many takes. I don't really think I'm good at reading poetry and doing it justice, but that was a nice poem. I really hope it came out all right and enjoyable for you who's listening. Anyway, now back to the show. So you are an alumni, you work with alumni, so I have a little segment that ties into it. It's called Alumni Association. When we first recorded this, you said you liked the game, so
I love this game.
I kept it. I'm pretty sure that I kept the same ones, but it's been a while since we first recorded, so hopefully it won't feel too deja vu-ish, but I know that your answers are really good, so hopefully we can get something like it. So basically the premise is, since we're talking about alumni and stuff, we're going to take a walk down memory lane. So I'll give you a location, and then you share your favorite memory from that place.
Love it.
So we have number 1, the dining hall.
Okay, so I think I told you last time the dining hall is tricky because I did not have a lunch period all the time, which is like super funny. So I used to eat my lunch my freshman year in Mrs. Creashy's honors English class. Shout out to Mrs. Creashy. She is a incredible principal, but she is an amazing English teacher as well. She didn't get enough love for that. So she used to let me eat lunch in her classroom. Freshman year, I didn't have a lunch. So sophomore year, and my whole life, everyone's hyping up Camden Catholic's French fries and the wraps. And my brother and sister are like, you got to get the fries. Got to get the fries. The wraps are so good as well.
They would tell me that in freshman year, too, that the fries were so good and everything.
Yeah. So when I first became, eligible to, have a lunch my sophomore year, my mom was like, okay, do you want to buy lunch? Do you want to try it? And I was like, yes. So she gave me $20, and she's like, it's got to last the whole week. And I was like, And I was gone by Tuesday because I ate everything on the menu, and I was so excited. And there's something so nostalgic, which they don't have them anymore, of the Camden Catholic wrap. It was so good. And I used to get an order of French fries and Diet Coke. And I actually was a sub here in 2019 for Mr. Buchanan.
Oh, really?
And it was pretty cool to come back and eat your high school lunch as an adult.
That must be feeling crazy.
It did feel crazy. It didn't feel actually as good. I'm not going to lie. But it was a weird moment.
Okay, so the next one is the courtyard. What's your favorite memory from there?
So for the courtyard, when I was a student and you would run for president and vice president, we didn't have this executive board. It was whoever didn't win, they would become the executive board members. You didn't run for the different posts.
Oh.
Yeah. And for that year, for some reason, we didn't make signs. What we did was we made videos that aired on CCTV. So much like you, Trish, I got every single CCTV person involved. And one of my good friends who is, he's still in the business, but he was a CCTV member. And I said, can you film this video? So my best friend and I ran for president and vice president, and she was so funny, and she had great ideas, and she was so passionate about the school, but she was hilarious. And I am very serious and not that funny. So we made this really great video where I was talking about all of the campaign issues and all, and I was being very serious, giving hardcore information while she's just kind of being silly next to me. So those who cared about the issues got that from me, and those who actually just wanted someone funny.
Smart.
Yes.
Smart.
It's a great strategy. And then we said, but don't hear it from us, hear it from other people. So we got people, all different grade levels, to be on this video, doing all sorts of funny things. Part of it was actually filmed in the boys' bathroom. It was so funny. We put a chair in there and did an interview, and we had like someone flush the toilet from the stall and pretend to walk out. And while we're filming, and it's very dry, it was a lot like the interviews from The Office.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, that sounds like it gives off big Office vibes.
It was major Office vibes. It was really funny. And as we're doing it, the vice principal at the time walked in and was like, what are you guys doing in the boys' bathroom? And we're like, it's a campaign video. Everyone knows like what they're involved in. And he was like really cool. And he's like, all right, I'm going to pretend I didn't say anything.
It's for government. It's for government.
So, yeah, it was so funny. We had one of my good friends, Damola. He could dunk. He dunked in the video.
What?
It was so cool. So we ended it in the courtyard with like a running scene like out of Madagascar at the end.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's just a really, really funny end to the video.
Was it like in slow-mo and everything?
It was in slow-mo.
Oh my
I had long
gosh.
hair. She had long hair. And it just ended with like a handshake.
That's so
and then
funny.
outtakes. And it was, honestly, it was a really good video. And it still holds up. It still holds up. It's still very funny.
Where might we be able to find this?
It's unlisted on YouTube.
No.
CC. It is unlisted.
We'll just have to take your word for it then.
It was a good one. It's
I
good.
trust that it was a good one. It sounds like it was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the third one, I put down senior hall, but also you could just like use that as an opportunity for like a senior memory. Because maybe not everything happened in senior hall, you know what I mean?
Okay, a senior memory. I had Mr. Bruckner in that hallway and Mr. Crawford.
Ooh.
This was yes, this is a good memory. So Mr. Bruckner and Mr. Crawford are like my two fave teachers. Shout out to them. Bruck totally is one of the biggest influences on my spiritual life and like just like an adult that I want to be when I grow up.
That's so true.
You know,
I work with him for this. That's so true.
I like am an adult, but I still want to be when I grow up an adult like Mr. Bruckner. And young Mr. Crawford. Shout out to old Mr. Crawford too. I love him too. But young Mr. Crawford I actually had in class. And he's like really quiet in the hallways. But he's so funny. Like he comes alive in front of his classes. And like, again, like you're not kids when you're a senior, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to laugh like you're a kid. And he used to do that. He also, another great Mr. Crawford memory was I never got a demerit when I was a student.
Wow.
And it was his mission to give me one. So I had a really bad day. I'll be honest, I was super dramatic. I didn't get the part I wanted in the play, as previously mentioned, and will just say I was pretty raw. I had been crying all day. So the tears were pretty much
the waterworks.
They were just existing there the whole day.
Oh
you just had to set me off kind of thing. So he gave us a study hall. So I said, may I go to Mrs. Morangi's room? I just wanted to sit in the back of her classroom, mind my own business. No one talked to me. No one asked me anything. With that, some students from the class come down a couple minutes later, and they're like, you got to get back up there. He's furious. And I said, he gave me permission.
What?
So now I'm very angry because I asked permission. It wasn't like, can I go to the bathroom? And I asked permission.
Totally never done that before myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I asked permission to go. He knew where I was going. And I come back up, and he's like, you didn't tell me you were going there. I was like, yes, I did. He's like, well, he said, I thought you were coming back. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, here's your demerit. And I knew he would feel so awkward if I cried. So
That would be awkward.
I just tested those acting skills that weren't good enough to get the lead and was like, okay. And you could just tell he felt so awkward. And he was like, I'm just joking. High five. And I turned around on my heels and I was like, I got you, Mr. Crawford. And it was a really funny memory, and it made me laugh on what was a very bad day. But yeah, so shout out to them. They're some good senior memories.
That's so funny. You got him good with that one.
I did. You know,
good.
you can make a lot of people uncomfortable by crying.
He really said high five because he felt so.
I will never forget it. He did not.
Did you high five him?
No, I just I gave him the puppy dog like I'm gonna cry, and it was really funny.
Okay, nice. And then lastly, we have the auditorium. I saved it for last because I know that you were involved with theater, so I'll give you some time. Maybe there's like a lot of memories probably from that stage.
So many. I mean, there's literally when I was in kindergarten and I saw Les Mis, and I can remember Miss Leone singing as Fantine. And just like that being my first exposure to musical theater, and like let alone musical theater at Camden Catholic. And I was hooked. You know, that was what I was going to do, like I said previously. And then my junior year, I finally got a lead where I was singing. I was Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, it was really cool. And that was the first Disney production Camden Catholic ever did.
You were part of that history too.
Got that right. So that was really cool because I sang the title song.
Oh, wow. That's a special thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be Mrs. Potts. And I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast dork. Love it.
Oh, okay.
So that was super special. But I think, like, honestly, ending my senior year and my time, well, what I thought was my time at Camden Catholic, ending with Les Mis. It was just such a full circle moment. And then also, too, on top of it, Miss Leone came back as director my senior year.
Oh, was that when she came in?
Yes. So here I am seeing my first production, and she's Fantine, and I'm in kindergarten. And then by my senior year, she's the director of Camden Catholic, and she's directing Les Mis. And it's just like this like weird full circle moment.
It all just connected.
Yeah.
It always comes back to Les Mis.
Les Mis, everyone dies. Except my character.
Yeah. All right, and I think that's it for Alumni Association. Those are some really nice memories. It showcases a lot how involved you are with the school your whole life. And I think the last thing I want to talk about is you help out with baking club, as I've mentioned, but that means we've worked together for some things like the bake sales and things, and we've talked about baking because that is one of your hobbies. I realize I never asked you your week's wild card, but here it is because it relates. What's your favorite flavor of cake?
Oh my gosh, pound cake.
Pound cake.
But I love cake. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, other than like raspberry, lemon, or like a pistachio, I don't discriminate. I love cake.
All kinds of cake.
Yeah.
And I remember we did talk about this last time too, and you mentioned your mom was a big baker.
Oh my gosh, my mom is such an incredible baker. She is amazing. You just have to like, it's funny because I know how to get to her. So like she's so good at making brownies. And so my husband and I love Oreos, and we love Oreo brownies. Ooh. And we were at a barbecue once and someone made these Oreo brownies, and I just sat across from her and was like, these brownies are so good. It's the best brownies I've ever tasted. And I could just see her like stewing, and she was like really, really mad.
Oh my gosh.
So she learned to make Oreo brownies by the next weekend, and they were delicious.
Wow.
Yes, she's a really good baker.
Competitive baker.
She is competitive.
You should get her on. You were talking about this to me in your office, the American, it's like the American version of Great British Bake Off. But you told me it's not good, though.
It is not good. It is so offensive. They try to like capture American delicacies, and they did the hamburger, and they did hamburger rolls and a sheet cake, everyone. They did a sheet cake. So, no, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. The British version is a lot better.
It is good.
It's like my favorite sport. The season finale is like my Super Bowl.
Literally. That's a great way to describe it. That's how I feel about it, too.
We have a bracket in my family. My brother-in-law, my husband.
I should start that.
Yeah. We have a nice little bracket. And we get really into it, and I do yell at the TV. I get really mad when they use almond extract. Just boys and girls don't. Just don't, because it always goes wrong. You always put too much in, and it's artificial tasting.
Yeah.
That and lavender, they just don't get it.
The lavender, it's a tricky one.
It's very tricky. And you know what? It almost always goes wrong. Like, I don't understand how these people go on Bake Off and don't watch the previous seasons.
That's true. Like, how do you not learn from people's past mistakes? I feel like with it happening so much, it should be common knowledge by now.
This is why, like, I yell at the TV. I just think they're such fools.
Such fools. All right. And I guess that's all I really have to talk to you about today, at least on here. We talk about a lot of things outside of, but we don't want this to run on for too long. So thank you again for joining me, again for the second time, but I will always take the opportunity to talk to Mrs. Bianchini. She's wonderful, everyone. You should say hi to her whenever you see her. But thank you so much for talking to me and joining me on your episode.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great summer, Camden Catholic. And a huge shout out to Trish, who's awesome. Aww. Thanks for having me, and go Irish.
If you found something in common with her or just want to say hi, Kayleigh Bianchini is located in the marketing office, room 224 in Junior Hall. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Between Bells and that we might catch you next time. But for now, this has been your host, Trish Escarilia, and from wherever you're listening in, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. Bye!